is Father's Day. So I want to take the opportunity to wish every single father, whether it be biological or otherwise. You may not have biological children, but you may be playing a very important role, whether you know it or not, in the life of a child. So, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Yeah? Alright. What we have happening today, what craziness are we going to do today, all yeah? Well, let me tell you. So, what you're seeing here in your view are two plantings of Wrightia Religiosa. Some people call it styrax. Some people call it water jasmine. Scientific name, Wrightia Religiosa. Anyways, what I'm attempting to do today, something that I have not seen. These, let me give you a little backstory on these. This was from a root ball, and this I got from the bucket of goodies that I got from Dion. When I dismantled the bucket, this was one of the plantings that came out of it, that survived. What I'm going to do today, my friends, is to make a clump style Wrightia Religiosa. Now, you're seeing, and you may not be seeing the total length of it, but it is quite tall, this one, from the root ball. And this is also has a bit of height to it. So, what I want to do today is an attempt to join these two to make one clump style and eventually create something of a canopy or something with the varying trunks. So, with that said, let me just go. So my friends, first things first, what I have to do is to get them out of their respective pots. We're going to look at the root work. We're going to see what is the best way of putting them together, and then we're going to plant them up. Sounds simple enough, eh? Oh my. Right, so I'm not going to keep it for that. Let me get to getting these out of their respective pots, and then we're going to come back and look at my friends. So far, I've taken the smaller one, out of its pot, and as I get the trusty tool, I am going to remove the soil away from it to see what kind of a root system we have. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other one to see what kind of a root system we have and what is the best way of joining both of them to make one comprehensive planting. Now, as I would have mentioned before, one of the one of the things that I have to deal with is space and the lack thereof. So, apart from genuinely having a particular liking for pengings and forest plantings, making compositions like these help me to maintain some levels of space and not be overly crowded. And it has helped me to keep track of the material that I have, So there are a lot of people who might want to get into bonsai and thinking to yourself, wait, I don't have the space. You could make it work. You can make it work, whether you're living on an apartment building. Granted, you may not have the space for 100 plants, but you may have the space for 1 or 2. And what could increase your volume in plants is how you treat with them. What type of what types of composition you want. If you want standalone plants, if you like forests, if you like groupings, that kind of a thing. So, something to think about. And this was a nice, well-draining soil. So it's scraping away, and we have a nice mat of roots here, my friends. A very nice mat of roots. And you could see where there is part of a bigger plant, because these were shoots that came out of a bigger spot. So I could possibly use this as the point to join, but I have to see what is happening with the other planting first. So I'm going to drop this into some water, let it soak for a bit, and let me see what's happening with the other plant. So here we have the next tree, and a nice sandy soil. So what I'm going to do is to get this out of this soil, and let's come back and look at what the root system closest to the trunk looks like. Yeah. So I was able to get both plantings out of their respective soil, and I gave the roots a wash so that I could have a better view on what is happening with these trees respectively. And what is happening is that on this bigger one, you have, it comes down here, it comes up, and it makes this sharp curve. Now we have some roots coming off of this, and this little piece of something like a hook, which I think I will use. You know, what I will do is to remove some of these higher roots in favor of the lower items to create a better look. But the root system on this is not so bad at all. It's not bad at all, and it will serve the purpose well. Now this is something like a miniature raft or something of the sort, you know. So that's this one. Then we have this one here that I washed out, and as I said, now there are a lot of roots and I could do a little bit of pruning to some of the roots to encourage more. But I'm looking at this point here as the potential join point. But let's see how they work together. And once they are working well together, what I'm going to have to do is to remove anything in between that will stop them from joining properly, and probably scrape the bark and get them as close together as possible. And over time, hopefully they fuse together. So let's see how this goes. Whew. And the sun, it has changed. It is not bleak anymore. The skies are blue now, and the sun is coming down, and I'm sweating. So let's get it. So as I said, I'm looking at utilizing this as a hook here and utilizing this point as the join point. So if I get this in here, let's see how this looks. Doesn't look bad at all. So what I have to figure out, and I have to take a little time to look at it and see exactly what I need to do to get them joined together, or put them in the right angles so that as they grow, they would fuse. So let me take a minute to look. I offered them up, and as you would have seen, I scarred the bark a bit so that when I put them together, they would eventually heal into each other. So what I want to do now is to help with that binding by tying them together, but not using wire, but using this material, this twine-like material. So let me do that, and then let's look at some of the roots that we want to remove and reduce, and probably look at some of the branches that, or some of the trunks that may not necessarily make sense. Yeah, so let's get
I was born to be free.
So I have them together here now, and what I want to do, this is a root that I definitely want to remove, and I'm going to go around removing some of the roots that are too high up. Now, I'm not going to do as detailed a root work as I would usually do, because, oh my word, and it came apart. I'll have to find a better way to fasten these together, because this is not holding this, and I would have preferred not to have used the wire, just not to scar the material, but wire might be the best bet. So hold a second. I put a piece of wire here, and what I will have to do is to monitor this, because I don't want this to bite in too much, and keep removing it every now and again, and probably placing it higher. Ideally, I could have put it to the bottom here, but let me leave it like this for now, and let's see, because I don't want too much wire on this. Right? So with that now, some of these roots, I could take away some of them so that it will encourage the trees to shoot new roots. Yeah, and let's see, this is something that is going all the way down. Right, that looks good. Now what I want to do as well now is to look at all of the trunks. So what I have happening here is I have 1, 2, 3 main trunks, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little trunks. So to give this a bit of space, I am going to remove 1 or 2 of these smaller trunks. I want to remove this one because I want that there is space to develop the main trunk lines that I'm looking at. Yeah, so I have this. These two grow quite closely together, these 3. And I have these 2 in the back that crossing each other. So I'm going to remove 1 of these. Do I keep this? I'm going to keep this and remove this one here. Good. So I take this out. So I have 1, 2, 3 main trunks. I have this guy here. I have this guy here. I also have this guy here. So what I'm going to do is to take away, which one? I'm going to take away this guy in the center here, kind of straight. If I take away this guy on the end, leave this guy in the center here, this guy here. I'm going to take a chance, and usually you'd remove the one, or I would remove the one in the center. But I'm going to leave the guy in the, should I leave the guy in the center? Does that give enough room? If I leave him in the center here, does that give enough room for him and him to develop? Possibly. He is very straight. He has a bit of character. He is also very straight. Tough choices. Tough choices. Now, I think I might remove, if I remove this guy, then I would have you veering off, crossing that trunk line there. I'm going to remove the guy in the center. And I think I'm putting too much strain on this particular tool. Misuse of tools. So I'm taking away the guy in the center, right? And I am leaving 1, 2. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trunk lines. It's an even number. They don't really deal up in even numbers. I'm going to leave this even number for now. Let's see how it develops, and we could always remove it. Now, with regards to these trunks that go all the way up, let me get this into some soil, get it nice and moist, and then let's look at reducing some of the trunks. Well, let's say reducing the height on some of these trunks. So let me get the pot ready and let's pot this up. So I have a base layer of soil, and I put a bit of slow release fertilizer into that soil. And what I'm doing now is I'm going to place the composition into that. And let me see, it's a little bit off center. It looks nice. And I'm going to fill up the soil, stabilize the tree, and then we're going to look at the top. Now I made sure that I had a very good root spread, and as I'm filling up, I'm going to take the opportunity to remove anything that looks any kind of way out of the way. And I'm filling up with soil. And stabilizing this tree. Okay, so I'm finished with putting it in the soil. So now let's look at the top of these trees. So my friends, first things first, I'm looking at this trunk line that comes up nicely, and then there's a trunk. The trunk line goes in toward the rest, kind of creating a bit of a clutter up here. But I have this branch that veers off. So I'm going to take this away. Let me see. Yes, I want to take this away. And that's a lot that I just took off. A lot that I just took off. so I could develop this fanning out this way. I have this line that is directly in front of us. It's a smaller trunk line, so we're going to leave it alone for now. Then I have this guy that comes up very strongly, but somebody's interfering. So yeah, what you have happening here now is that you have a trunk line in the back here that is interfering with it. So I want to do some placement, and it veers outward. Now I can use a bit of wire to help guide this out a little bit more. Something like a guide wire. Place a hook here and let it stay out. So I may do that. Now I have this trunk coming up here that is very strong. I'm going to leave him alone for now. And so I want to guide this, and I want to guide this guy as well. This guy comes up. He has a branch coming off here, a young shoot that I can possibly leave to develop, but I think this is a bit low. So we're going to cut it back to this point here and try to develop something around this line here. Maybe. Now I don't want everybody to be the same height. You know, there must be a bit of a balance. And I'm thinking this guy, I could cut this guy back to this branch, this leaf node here, or maybe this one, right? Giving him an opportunity to veer outward. And this line that I'm looking at here, do I leave this line or do I remove it? This fellow that I'm looking at here, who will definitely get shaded out. This has a trunk line this has a branch going back in toward the clump, and I want everything fanning outward. It has this lower line here and a branch very low down. This branch, it veers off so nicely outward. I'm going to leave it alone for now. And what I will do, I will reduce the height of this here. Right? And this guy, what I want to do is to bring this guy out like that. So I think I'm going to use a little bit of guide wire to basically hold him in place here, outward like this, right? And then what I will have to eventually do, I believe, is reduce this guy to come down and start to create a canopy somewhere around here. So I have everybody fanning out. This guy is fanning out this way. This guy will fan out this way. He's out. And this will be over. What do you think? Tell me what you think. hit me up in the comments and let me know what you guys think of that plant. Firstly, let me know what you guys think about this particular planting that I'm doing, if you think it makes sense. Okay, so this is the finished product for now. I removed one or two of the trunk lines. Now this comes up, goes over on that side. This comes up, kind of goes over on that side. This comes straight up. I could probably send it over on that side, but I'm leaving it for now. Let everything occur as natural as possible. I added a little bit of wire here, very loosely, just to kind of move it away slightly, ever so slightly, and on this guy, just to kind of give it a little bit of direction so that it doesn't clash too much with the other tree. Now, what is happening is that to the back here where I added the wire, this is what is preventing it from coming out even more. But that could change, because I could do this over, and I'll think about how I want to do this over without upsetting the planting too much. But so far so cool, you know. So far so cool. Thing is, can I interfere with it at all? Okay, so an impromptu move and a change. I put this trunk line outside of this wire that is holding the two groupings together, and let's see how this goes. Yeah, so let me give you a 360 view, and that's it. So this is it from the base here. And I think it looks nice for now. There's a trunk that I removed here, and I probably should try to remove a little bit more before something shoots up. And this is the base of it. I had to mound up the soil a bit extra here because there were some exposed roots, and I'll probably mound it up a little bit more just to make sure that I have good coverage. This is the back. Yeah, this is the back. And back around to the front. And we're coming up on the varying trunks. And we all the way up to the top. And as I said, what I want to do, I would want to reduce this height and bring it down to probably about here. But let me let this planting take off and catch itself, and then we could see what could be done over the coming years. Yeah, so that is it for this. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share. Be good to yourself, as I usually say. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. Treat people how you want to be treated. And remember that our climate is our responsibility. We have an opportunity to change it for the better. If not for ourselves, let us do it for the future generations. I'll go see you all soon. Alright? Take care. Bye.